Go. More.
Good morning and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Okushaki and I'm with my co-host
Precious Chukudi.
And here we'll be reviewing the front pages of the papers and also analyzing it. Precious, how was it yesterday?
Well, it was good, but this morning, the tanker that fell by the Anthony Road with the, petrol coming out was a serious sight to see this morning.
I think that scene was scary to a lot of people.
Yeah, and because of that, buses have been diverted to follow another road, and also has caused increase in transport, and also people have not been able to get vehicles to their destination. So it's a lot of. There's a time when we left there, we saw the fire service people trying to contain the situation.
And the last mile response units.
Yeah, true.
Okay. And I think the situation will be controlled very soon. But okay, so let's start by reviewing the front page of Vanguard. And here on the front page we have over 5,100 card readers burnt in Ondo INEC fire, and the rider destroyed card readers meant for October poll. And you can see that on page 6. On page 42, we have Lagos State records 48 new infections as confirmed cases rise to 55,829. You can see that on page 42. Still on page 42 and COVID-19 updates, federal government cautions travelers against fake PCR tests. Deregulation Nigeria to earn over 1 trillion naira annually. That's coming from federal government, and you can see that on page 8. Moving on page 6, we have 1 killed, many injured as violence erupts in Ondo. Deceased murdered for putting on party's cap. Protest in Dare market activities are disrupted. And on page 9, we have Edo. INEC deploys 5 additional regs, 3 national commissioners, 13,000 staffs. And the rider, APC PDP clash over plot to clone by PVC's Oba of Benin seeks protection for corps member. And on page 8, we have a $10 billion tussle. United Kingdom court orders P&ID to make interim payment of £1.5 million. And on the stories above, on page 12, we have governors misappropriating 13,000 derivation fund, and that's coming from Buhari's aid. Says they haven't been kind to Niger debtor. And on page 32, former President Jonathan saying electronic voting only way to credible elections. Rise in prices threats to food security. That's coming from presidency, and you can see that on page 5. And from front page of Vanguard, we move straight to the Punch newspaper.
And on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have main headline: forest ban on food. Man warns of rising inflation. Fault federal government on food sufficiency. Rider says president's directive ambiguous, not specific, says LCCI. Don't allocate forex to import food, fertilizer. Buhari orders CBN. On stories above, Nigerians others face deportation. UAE issues November deadline. You can see that story on page 7. And on page 9, British court orders PNID to pay Nigeria 1.5 million euro, AGF's office. Also, Baker's hint on plans to jack up bread price, page 19. Also, stories beneath, police arraigned Lagos doctor who fled UK for forced rape accusation, on page 5. And also on page 7, Ghana wanted to work for God, be a changed man before he was killed, says his widow. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, one killed as Ondo APC as deputy governor's party supporters clash. You can see that story on page 11. Away from the Punch, we'll move straight to the Nation.
And on the front page of the Nation, we have agency food scarcity likely with massive flooding. And the rider, Buhari halts CBN Forex for food and fertilizer imports. And lastly, on the front page of the Nation, we have United Kingdom asks PNID to pay Nigerians £1.5 million fees, and government adopts killed others in the FCT suburb. You can see more of that on page 6 and also on page 8. And that's all we have on the paper review for this morning. We're going on a short break, and when we return, we have a guest who will be joining us via Zoom to analyze some of the stories on those front pages. Meanwhile, while we're on a break, you can like and follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen, and also put your opinion in the comment section. We'll be right back.
Go. More.
Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damilola Obushaki, and I've been with my co-host
Precious Jubilee.
And we've reviewed the front pages of the papers, and now this is the analysis segment where we have a guest who will be joining us via Zoom, and he's in person of Mr. Gbero Olajuigbe, the CEO, Executive Emergency and Risk Alert. You're welcome, sir. Mr. Gbero. Mr. Gbero, can you hear me? Okay. So yesterday, just we are talking about Ondo State election, which will be coming up soon. That's in October. And yesterday in the Ondo State capital, that's INEC office, it was last night gutted by fire, which destroyed over 5,100 card readers. What do you have to say about this coming, just few days before the election, few weeks before the election, rather?
Well, it is really sad. It's really sad in this country when you look at the trajectory of calamities that go on. We are people that have politicians that don't want election. They just want to be in power, possibly without election. I don't know how we are going to achieve that in democracy. Every time election is close like this, you see one form of violence or the other. If it is not against opponent, it will be against the institution that will conduct election. All in attempt to sabotage the process of election.
So, Mr. Agbero, are you trying to
win election?
Mr. Agbero, are you saying that this?
It is not peculiar with Ondo State.
Are you saying that this fire now was it was not something that just started this thing? Maybe it was like coincidental or what? What do you think about it? Are you just saying that the fire, with somebody started the fire on purpose?
Well, I'm talking circumstantially.
Okay.
If you want to investigate, you have to look at circumstantial evidence. That is left for those to confirm or affirm that or reject that postulation.
No,
but the fact is that we are in context.
You were saying that anytime election is coming for this form of violence or the other.
Yes, I'm building a scenario, not necessarily a scenario of what could be offer addressing for this fire incident in Ondo State. It happened in Imo State before. It happened in Akwa Ibom, where INEC offices were vandalized, allegedly gutted by fire, and the report of the investigation up to today is not even made public. So this we can reasonably suspect that this is handwork of politicians, even though we cannot 100% affirm or confirm that. Because of the trend of events, because of the circumstances, we can guess where this violence on electoral institution could be coming from, even before the investigation.
Okay, so
it's really sad that we continue to move from.
Mr. Agbero, do you think this will actually affect the credibility of the Ondo election? Because definitely this is actually a setback.
Election has started. Election does not happen on the day of election. One of the critical process of voting is this machine that has been gutted by fire. They are not likely to have enough card readers. They are likely to compromise the usage of card readers. And what that one means is that people can walk in and vote if there is no card readers. So it's an atmosphere for livelier election. It's an atmosphere for election that is likely to violate guidelines and rules of INEC, specifically on Ondo election. So it's not whether I think it's going to compromise the credibility of election. It's compromised already.
Now that you're saying that it's compromised, what do you actually think INEC should do?
Well, what I've always advocated, that one is in the long run, is that we must go beyond all this shenanigan and put in place critical infrastructure for electronic electoral system, and not this one. But in the interim, if it is possible for INEC, because what they always tell us is that the gadgets are context specific in the sense that you can't use the one in Kogi for Ondo, you can't use the one in Ekiti for Ondo. I don't know how they are going to work around this, especially if the quantum of the damage is enormous.
So let's just
that is my fear. I don't know.
Let's talk about the fire service. This fire, they said it started around 8:03 p.m. And according to reports, the fire service got there 9:14 p.m. But they were actually helpless because the truck refused to start. So the officials were forced, they were just helpless, and they watched it as the commotion, as the fire consumed the container. So what do you actually have to say about this? About the fire service? What do you have to say about that one? Mr. Guerrero? I think we lost him there. So, we're just talking about what is going on in Ondo State. Just few weeks now, because the election is October 10. Now people are just doubting if this election is actually going to go on. But of course, we have some of the INEC officials saying that of course it will still happen, but this fire won't affect. It won't affect what is it? It won't affect the election that is coming up. But we are really wondering, and just like what is saying that that something like this has been happening for a long time, when the election is just coming and you just be hearing different news. And so that is why Nigerians are asking, are you sure this thing is just it's not a mysterious fire, something that you just say that okay, someone's trying to start on purpose, or it's not on purpose? But of course we have to leave that one to the police and those that are investigating the issues.
He's not in back yet.
It's not so bad.
I think at this point we'll have to focus on still on the election, that electronic voting.
Okay, I think we have him back. So Mr. Guerrero, did you hear my last question? Mr. Guerrero? Hello, Mr. Guerrero?
We've been having network glitches, but then the former president of Nigeria, that's Goodluck Jonathan, and also United Nations Special Envoy on Crisis Management, has said that electronic voting was the only way to get credible elections in Nigeria and the rest of Africa. And speaking on the presidential panel of the Osasu Show Symposium 2020, Jonathan said the outcome of elections should be decided by the ballot, not by any other means, not even the courts. To me, he says, if Africa especially will move forward, it is not just to be about routine conductions of elections. This year alone in West Africa, made up of 15 states, we have 5 states that had elections. So in terms of regular elections, we are progressing, but are these elections credible if they are representing a constitutional democratic setting in the issues? And he was making claim to the fact that we need credible elections in the country. And also, the only way he thinks we can get that kind of credible elections is through electronic voting. But then, we have IT gurus, people who can hack anything. We've seen the likes of Ubi, and the rest of them hack even the US system. So, okay, we have him back.
Hello, Mr. Guerrero. Mr. Guerrero, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so before we had the network interruption, I was actually asking. I asked you the question. Then I don't know if you can still remember, so you can respond to it.
Yes, about fire service.
Yes, the fire service.
The time it took them to.
Yeah,
But I have conducted for several years.
Their truck actually did
Years
not
I've
work.
conducted hazard mapping in this country. I have interrogated and engaged fire service. If you look at the resources available for fire service in this country, in terms of their emolument, in terms of whether they are insured or not, in terms of hazard allowance, in terms of logistic, including vehicles, including waters, including all sites needed for immediate and rapid response. You will pity them. You won't be blaming them much in a situation like this. Specifically, fire service is nil in Ondo State. When I say it's nil, it's nil, almost to 0% for appropriate response. because resources are not just made available to fire service, we don't even see them as necessary thing to budget for in most cases. If it's only when it happens like this, we continue to blame them. But a critical stakeholders that have engaged them, that have assessed the coordination, the management, and the operation of fire service will be able to situate the delay, situate the problem within the context of the institutional incapacitation, lack of resources, and outright asking people to merely go and commit suicide. In fact, there was a time the hazard allowance for fire service per month, and I'm not joking, except if they review it in the last 2 years, it was less than 100 naira hazard allowance in Ondo State. So if you look at this, you will though they have responsibility to deliver, but you can't perform magic when resources are not made available to you, when even your life is not even in consideration. You have politicians that take unnecessary hazard allowance, those who are actually exposed to danger, have nothing to take home as hazard allowance. Then we expect a society where there will be rapid response. A community. Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, specifically in Ondo State. In this case of there was the Ondo State. Yeah, I can hear you now, even though you can.
Just continue. All right. Okay. Let's just focus.
Yes, there was a time.
Okay, let's just focus on still on the credible elections. The former President Jonathan has said that electronic voting is the only way to get credible election in Nigeria. What's your take on we having electronic voting in Nigeria? Mr. Miro. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about this network.
We seriously need to do. I think
Well, you have to create environment for that. For example, power. Yes.
No, go on, sir. We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Network is a very big problem.
I think Charles will be experiencing that.
Yes, and because he had something very interesting to say, and like I was saying that, how do you think this would work based on the fact that we have, IT gurus, and we have the people who are basically hackers.
They can hack anything.
And because the main idea of trying to create a new system is so that it's because maybe you tried the old system is not working, and the thing you want to switch to electronic voting is another thing and if it's going to work, are you sure it's not going to be rigged too? It's a very big question on the mind of people. You want to take that one?
Okay, so yes, the other story I have is that of the president who said, the president yesterday in Abuja raised alarm that the recent upsurge in food price is gravitating to a crisis that could threaten Nigerians' food security. And of course, you can tell me about that now. Before the way the inflation in price, I think it's back.
Hello, Mr. Benro. Can you hear me clearly?
Mr. Benro. Okay. I think we're still talking about this. So, talking about this food increase in food price and all that, Nigerians have really been complaining. So the president is coming to say that many factors were responsible for increasing food prices, information from stakeholders within the agriculture sector showed there was a decline in recent days. However, the president, that's President Muhammad Buhari, assured the federal government will continue to promote policies favorable to investment in agriculture. Also, the president's chief of staff, that's Professor Ibrahim Gambari, raised alarm on the hike in food price and its market in his remark at the National Food Security Council. It said that the meeting was actually was to adopt a strategy that we could bring to solution to the potential crisis. He also expressed optimism that with determination, coordination and handwork, the administration would weather the storm and ensure stability and improvements. Also, talking about this, we have many people who are actually saying, okay, Mr. Guerrero, we actually have a lot of persons who are saying that they are not, who are reacting to what the president is saying, like that of Afenifere, who wondered why the government laments each time there was a problem instead of addressing it. Also talking about NLC, the General Secretary of Nigerian Labour Congress, that's Emma, says that physical insecurity is the major threat to food security and upsurge in food prices, and it's only a symptom flowing from it. Also, Pandev said that the price in food prices was inescapable as government has not put in place correct economic policies. So that's what they're all saying to what the president is saying. Because according to what the president is saying, when you talk about maize, they know that the price of maize before was 25,000 naira in the market, and later it's reduced to 17,000 and also down to 12,000. But we have Nigerians saying that that's not the only thing they're going to eat. You know, if I don't know if you really go to market often. You know, if you actually try to buy everything you're buying now, it's like ×3 or ×2 of the price, and you just wonder if you took like a certain amount to the market, so you don't actually have a budget now. Because when you get to the market, definitely you're going to spend more, and it keeps increasing daily. So the president saying that they're going to address it, and they're also hoping that there will be there will be cooperation in the agricultural sector, to help with this situation.
But that means normal that if fuel increases, electricity increases, that food prices
also increase.
Even more like double. I mean, I saw on Twitter of how some people started to recount on how they brought their NEPA bill for the month, and a particular guy who is like an OAP. He posted that he used to pay about 354,000, staying in Lekki, and the bill they brought for him is about 1.2 million.
Whoa.
And he's like, he doesn't know what's going on because he can't be paying so much money. It's a very, very, sad one. I mean, people are not making money. We're still in COVID-19 pandemic, and yet still, you have to start paying, high prices on. I'm telling you,
now not to talk about the food, the increase in everything, transportation, food, and all.
Even the bill they brought for my own house is like ×4 of what it's supposed to be.
Okay, so I've not really expressed that because when you're talking about prepaid, it's just that I just noticed there's a little adjustment also in that aspect.
But even with prepaid, that's one of the reasons why they didn't make it like something everybody can easily get. Because when there's some places like, for example, in my own house, we requested for this thing for a long time coming, and they keep saying it's not available. And when it's available, they will give to us. But now we're stuck in this, high bill price, and we have to pay whether we like it or not. If not, you won't get light. I started to see a lot of people, protest about this increase in petrol and electricity, because it's not something that we deserve at this time, especially in times like this now.
And those are actually things that are just actually affecting the agricultural sector, the food, and all that.
Like if you don't have food to eat, it becomes a very, very big problem. But then,
for people that are getting food, you have to calculate your transportation, the electricity, especially when you're talking about the fresh food and all that.
Salaries are
also not being
so rather how do you want people to
you're being reduced and all that.
Well then, let's just still talk about what's happening in Edo State. And INEC deploys 5 additional recs, 3 national commissioners and 13,000 staff to Edo. And ahead of September 19th Edo State governorship election, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has deployed additional 5 resident electoral commissioners, REC, and 3 national commissioner NCs NCs to the states. The additional 5 resident electoral commissioners who are drawn from 5 geopolitical zones of the country are expected to work in synergy with the Edo State Rec Johnson Alalibo of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Only that from South South was not drafted to Edo State to participate in supervising the conduct of the election. Disclosing this yesterday, a top official of INEC who did not name the 5 rec that has been deployed to Edo State said the 2 national commissioners are not of South South extraction, adding that refusal to disclose the identities of those on redeployment was to safeguard them from undue pressure from desperate politicians. And according to the official who spoke on the condition of anonymity, he said that the redeployment was to ensure that commissions maintain a high level of neutrality and fairness in the electoral processes. So, this is coming just few days to the Edo election. Instead of that, we're going to get to see a lot more that is going to come during the election period, because we can see how they redeployed 5 additional recs as well as 3 national commissioners and 13,000 staff to the Edo election, and it just shows how they are committed to ensuring that we have a credible election in that state.
In Edo State.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's really sorry for the network interruption, but that's all we have for you on today in the news. But of course, before we go, let's review our sports. And here we have Messi beat Ronaldo again. That's a FIFA 21, and of course you can see that on Vanguard Sports, and also you can also see it on our website, because these are the 2 famous people that many people who are football fans are. And here we have Aubameyang to become top earner at Arsenal. Talking about someone becoming top earner, Atlant is saying his pay cut is the one saying Atlant's pay cut heartbreaking. And Moses, Chelsea future in doubt. That's Victor Moses. And Real Madrid made contact with Perez. You can see more of that inside Vanguard. And Igalo retains jersey number 25 for Manchester United new season. And Napoli owner tests positive for COVID-19. That's all we have on Vanguard Sports. And let's look at what Mr. and Mrs. Let's see what they are saying. The first person talking today is Mr. It says, I'm in the weekend mood. Come and sit on my lap. I think he's talking to Mrs. and Mrs. replied again, how many times am I going to sit on your lap in a day? Mr. says as many times as I want.
Well, speaking about Together Forever.
That is Together Forever. Weekend mood.
No, of course.
Talking about weekend mood, are you really in the weekend mood right now?
It's this morning, one of the things that really got me in my mood was like seeing, the water being so high. I'm like, how do I pay this, And then I'm thinking that the money I kept to just flex myself. You know how people say, try to enjoy yourself, probably not the finish. There's no way I can flex myself. You have to put this money together. So.
Okay, and that's all we have for you on today in the news. Don't forget that you can always visit our website www.vanguardngr.com to get more of our top stories, and also you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's showing on your screen, and also our other social media platforms, and they are there. We're really sorry for the network break, but of course before that we had Mr. Gbero, that's Executive Director Emergency and Risk Alert, former head humanitarian and resilience conflict and emergency action aid Nigeria. He joined us via Zoom. And of course, it's by from me, Dablola Okushaki, and also from my director, Mr. Bankole Imane, and from my co-host,
Precious Tripoli. Thank you for watching.
And have a lovely weekend.
Go.